Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling something really big, 1,000 years of the Buganda Kingdom.
It's a major one. Easily the most influential traditional kingdom in Uganda today.
And its roots go way back.
Hmm.
We think it really started to coalesce, near Lake Victoria, maybe late 14th century,
Yeah.
with this whole political system built around the Kabaka, the king.
That's when the detailed history gets clearer, yeah. But 1,000 years, well, that takes us much further back.
Right, which means dealing with earlier periods where the evidence is patchier. Lots of oral tradition, foundational myths.
Exactly. You have to acknowledge that up front. The ambition is huge, covering C22 by CE to now, but the sources shift over time.
And the big name at the start is Kintu, the legendary first Kabaka, the founder of the whole dynasty.
That's the core story. From Kintu down to the present Kabaka, tradition counts 36 rulers.
36, wow. And even to the exact dates for the first few are, let's say, flexible. That continuous line is just incredibly significant, culturally and politically.
Absolutely fundamental. And the Kintu legend itself, his arrival, how he supposedly united different clans, defeated a rival figure, Bemba Musoda.
That unification piece seems key. And wasn't there a specific event? A meeting of clan elders?
Yes, the conclave on Nono Hill in Busuju. It's remembered as this pivotal moment in establishing centralized rule. Still holds symbolic weight.
Okay, but let's dig into Kintu. Sources suggest maybe he wasn't the absolute beginning. There's this idea about Kedo Kintu.
Ah, right. The theory that maybe an existing leader named Kedo adopted the powerful Kintu name.
To sort of legitimize his own rule by tapping into existing myths and beliefs.
Precisely. It connects his rule to the cosmology that Baganda already understood. Whether it happened exactly like that or not, the Kintu story functions as what scholars call a charter myth.
A charter meaning?
Meaning it lays out the foundational rules, how the kingdom started, the basis of the Kabaka's authority, the relationship between the clans and the king. It explains how things should be,
Got it. So after Kintu, we have figures like Chwa the First, Chwanabaka.
Yes, his successor, according to tradition. But again, we're relying heavily on oral accounts.
And the dating gets tricky. Some place Kintu around 1300 CE, Chwa maybe mid-14th century. It's not exact science back then.
Not at all. And some traditions even talk about 30 kings before Kintu, which complicates things further.
It really highlights how these official histories are constructed, doesn't it?
It does. And then you get to Kabaka Chimera, late 14th century. There's a whole contested narrative there.
How so?
Well, some perspectives suggest he might be the more historically verifiable founder, perhaps even with links to the neighboring kingdom of Bunyoro.
Which would challenge that neat, unbroken line directly from Kintu that's central to the Buganda narrative.
Exactly. It shows that these genealogies aren't just family trees. They're powerful political statements about legitimacy and origins.
So in those very early days, before maybe Chimera, Buganda was likely smaller, less centralized.
Almost certainly. Think of it more as a principality. The early Kabakas probably ruled somewhat at the mercy of the clan heads.
The Bataka.
The Bataka, yes. Powerful figures. Maybe kingship even rotated among clans before Kintu's line established hereditary rule. It was likely a gradual process, the Kabaka slowly gaining more power.
Okay, moving into the consolidation phase, say 14th century up to around 1700, Chimera seems pretty important here, even with the origin question.
He does, and his descendants are credited with expanding Buganda's territory.
Then you get a whole list of Kabaka's Tembo, Kigala. Didn't he abdicate and then come back?
That's the story. Then Kaima, who died in battle Naki Binj, who also died fighting Bunyoro after seeking help from the Sessi Islands.
Lots of conflict with Bunyoro then.
A recurring theme.
Yeah.
Then Mulando, Jemba, Suna I, Sekamanya, the list goes on. But the constant pressure, especially from Bunyoro, is clear.
So what happens in the 17th century? Does the dynamic shift?
It seems to. We see Kabakas like Kimbegwe and especially Katarega making a real push to strengthen the central government.
How?
Through military success, particularly against Bunyoro, which meant more territory and more resources under royal control. Consolidation.
And internally. Any shifts in power?
Yes, significantly. Kabaka Tibandeke, along with his chief minister, the Katikiro Mujambula, they apparently challenged the influence of the traditional spiritual leaders.
The Nalubaale mediums.
Exactly. Trying to curb their power was a direct move to elevate the Kabaka's own authority above all else. Royal supremacy.
So by 1700, you've got a more centralized state, but maybe also more tension.
That seems to be the case. More centralization often meant more intense competition within the royal family, leading to succession disputes.
Right.
And interestingly, after Tabandeki's death, there's this period where a kind of dual kingship emerges, one handling material matters in Dawula, and another, Jimikateve, focused on the spiritual side.
Maybe a way to manage the growing complexity and the pressures of that royal power.
Possibly. It suggests they were grappling with how to structure this increasingly powerful centralized kingship.
So quite a journey. From these, mythic origins with Kintu through establishing the lineage, battling neighbors, and gradually building central power.
Definitely. It's not just a list of kings. It's this dynamic story of state formation. You see the foundational myths shaping identity and the practical realities of power evolving over centuries.
And all this really lays the groundwork for Buganda's later position, its strength, and how it eventually engaged with the wider world beyond its immediate neighbors.
Absolutely. Those first, say, 700 years forged the structures and the identity that defined its path. Makes you really think, doesn't it? How much do those origin stories and early power struggles continue to echo?
A fascinating thought to end on. Thanks for walking us through that complex early history.